Hello world, I'm Chris Pirillo, and you're watching Behind the Reel.
Welcome back to Behind the Reel, the show that takes a real look at the personalities shaping online video. I'm your host, Andy Smith. Last week, I hope you fell in love with the pranksters in love as we showed you a little behind the scenes of how they operate. This week, channel your inner geek as we interview Chris Pirillo, the king of geeks. Chris has had an online presence since 1996 with his website, lockergnome.com. He's been a host on TechTV, featured on CNN, and more recently, found success through YouTube with his geek and tech-themed content. He's quickly approaching 700 days straight on his vlog channel with his wife, quite the accomplishment, and he joined up with Patreon this year to try to bring back his show TLDR. Please welcome to the show, the king of geeks, Chris Pirillo.
Thank you, Andy, and just so you know, I am enjoying a extra stout right now as I'm doing this interview, so if it gets more interesting towards the end of the video, well, now you know why. Am I the only one drinking right now?
Nothing besides water.
This got awkward.
That's a unique looking what? A hoodie you're wearing?
This? It's a geeky hoodie. It's Wolverine, and look at this. The hoodie even comes up so that you can become Wolverine, although it's not really glasses compatible. And there's a virtual belt. Given that over the years people have turned to me for advice and looking to me to be kind of a tastemaker of sorts, don't ask me why, they see me as a geek, right? And I love wearing hoodies. So what I'm going to be doing at some point in the extremely near future, if not by the time this interview goes live, is I'm going to be removing the helmet, hat, or head part of this hoodie and continuing with the answer. I'm going to be reselling these geeky hoodies and geeky products to people who would want to buy things from me. They trust me enough, and I'm going to be making a Pirillo promise.
Now that everybody knows what you're wearing, what's your top tip for video marketers and content creators in general?
Don't rely on one source for all of your revenue, connection point for community, anything or any part of your business, really. And I think this is a tremendous mistake that I see many quote-unquote YouTubers making. And it's what people do with what you put out there that I think is almost more important in terms of weight in the marketplace today than the actual content itself. And I realize that it sounds odd. Well, you know, if you didn't create the content, people would have nothing to share. But it's that metric that is very, very difficult to attain, and it's elusive. And that's why it's much more important for you to exist on multiple platforms, and everybody else is doing it too. So not only are you fighting, the need for your business or your brand or your name or your content to live everywhere, but you're fighting everybody else too. You're fighting for attention. So ultimately, I try to find a balance between what would make me happy, what would make the person who might experience something that I do happy, and then of course the business. And really having those three pillars to stand on, I think, makes something a success. So as a part of your strategy, you gotta not just live in social, but grok it. Understand what makes it valuable, not just what people want to share, why they may want to share it, why they may want to be a part of something that you've potentially created.
Of course, we're always interested in the top tips and trends here. What sort of trends do you see coming this year that creators should be looking out for?
The main trends I see with respect to video in 2014 would likely be related to mobile, and I realize this is seemingly like, oh well, duh, mobile, yeah, everybody has a smartphone or a tablet. It's true, but video is still one of those experiences that can be very bandwidth intensive. I don't think anybody would argue that a bigger screen is often better than a smaller screen in relation to video. But we are still just coming out of this desktop paradigm for computing. And mobile has been a great strategy, especially being able to incorporate push directly into the app, because when it's installed, they just know they're going to get the latest YouTube video that we push out there. Don't ignore mobile, or don't just think that you can stop at the simple parts of mobile. You really have to think about how your community, or how the people that you want to engage with, how they're going to get to your content, how they're going to find it. And I think relying on search is very dangerous, on any platform, but it's something that I think worked at one time, but we're evolving past that point. And I think it's much more important for you to find those one true fans out there and addressing them in every way that you possibly can, rather than screaming or hoping that you're going to find millions of people that are receptive to the content. So 1,000 true fans, 1 million people who may or may not care about you and may only see one thing you do and then they're gone, right? So you got to think about which one's more important. And to me, it's all about not the smaller number, but to me, the more important number. And I can put a finer point on that if you want.
Yeah, absolutely. Could you put a bit of a finer point to that?
Hang on just a second. I realize this is somewhat unorthodox to walk away from the camera, but I think it's a relevant time to bring this up. I'm a They Might Be Giants fan, and when I got an email from their mailing list last year, and they said, hey, we're setting up this fan club, or the Instant Fan Club, and you can be a super president and get all these bonuses, I didn't even think about it. I was like, yeah, sure, sign me up. I think it was like $100 or whatever it was. To me, it was reasonable because I've been listening to TMBG since I was in college. So they asked for my money. Okay, because I know that's going to help them do more for me, things that I'm going to enjoy. And it's not to say the free ride is over. I mean, CDs cost money, music costs money, whether you're renting it from a service or you're buying something outright. So I can't even tell you the value that I got seeing my name, a little tiny print, seeing my name printed in the liner notes for the Nanobots album. I was beside myself. And I didn't even know that was going to happen. I couldn't even tell you if that was a value that I would have had. I just know that I enjoy these guys so much, I never want them to stop doing what they do. If I can find those fans, that's all I have to worry about. YouTube could disappear tomorrow. I wouldn't care. I got those patrons who say, Chris, whether I produce it here, there, or wherever, they care enough to say I'm worth the cost of a bottle of water a month. Awesome. And I can slip them some bonuses and still do what I need to do without having to worry about traffic and without having to worry about total subscriber count and without having to worry about, the ad revenue or CPMs or this, that, and the other thing.
I think you're alluding a bit here to Patreon. Could you talk a bit about what Patreon is and how it facilitates success for people that use it?
I don't know what you would call it, an affinity-based program, and there have been a few of these being released, and I don't think that that's going to slow down anytime soon in terms of services that could help content creators or personalities who love doing what they do, help enable them to do what they want to do and to help the person on the other end do what they want to do, and that is experience what the content creator puts out there. So I decided to go with Patreon as a platform since there were a few YouTubers who were using it and seemed to be doing well with that as a service. So I set up my profile, and what I did was I said, all right, if you want me to do the things that you say you want me to do, I'm going to be able to do it, but am I worth the cost of a bottle of water to you every month? And I set up certain financial goals to say, hey, look, here's what I want to do. I want to bring TLDR back for you. Here's why I have to do it this way, and I can't do it the old way. I'm still going to do it for everybody, but if you are a supporter or a patron through this service, you'll get bonuses. And so I set it up, and within a couple of weeks now, we were just shy of 300, not quite there. I'm very happy about that, and I expect that number to grow over time. That's the number I'm looking for, or really watching or concentrating on. How many people actually said, Chris, you're worth the cost of a bottle of water a month with Patreon or these types of models? Because I had an Indiegogo project last year when we did an event here in Seattle. I wanted to live stream it, but there were costs associated. People couldn't make it. They wanted me to live stream. I'm like, hey, look, dude, I'm already not doing well with, not breaking even with the event. I can't just, add something else to it without offsetting those costs. People backed it to the tune of right around $15,000 for that one-time event. And I was so happy about that because it allowed us to live stream the event. We ended up being able to do it. We met our goal for that one event. So I'd worked within the models. I've sold ebooks before. I've messed around with pay-per-view. But I knew that there was a better way to do not just what I wanted to do, but what I love to do. And more importantly, do what I love to do for the people who love for me to do the things that I do. And keep in mind that even if you don't see this as an opportunity for you as a content creator, someone who's watching this doesn't see it as an opportunity, that I really do believe this is going to become the norm. Ads aren't going to go away. Sponsorships absolutely not going to go away. but in terms of stability and longevity for content producers, they know what they can count on. I can count on this on a monthly basis, and that is going to allow me to do what I do right now, and do more and do better and concentrate on what I do well and do that better. So I've never been, I don't want to say I've never been more excited, but really it in doing this business for 15 years answers so many questions and solves so many problems that I'm not on easy street, but the more supporters I'm able to engage, the better off I am and the better off they're going to be.
Would you say Patreon is better suited for somebody who has an established audience, or do you see it as something that anybody could jump into and use whether they have an audience or not?
Yes and no. Yes, in the sense that you've got a base to go to and to let them know that there's a new opportunity. Whether or not they understand why you're doing something, at least you're saying, hey, look, here are you out there who say that you love me and you like me and you really like me. You like me. That's great. Thanks. We all love the likes. So we live on them, really. What the hell's up with that? Seriously, these people need to be kicked off the planet. So anyway, it's easier to go after an established base and tell them what's going on. But that being said, I think there is an opportunity for newer creators or people who want to do things to, once they've proven themselves or shown an example, actually create a base on Patreon. Even if you're someone who has no idea what the hell they're doing, you've never done it before, hey, do it. Do it. You never know who's going to see it. You never know. The worst question you have is the question unasked. If you don't ask someone, how are they going to answer?
Chris, you got a degree in English, specifically teaching English. How did you go from a degree in English to what you're doing now?
My college degree is in English. I am a teacher by trade, although I think my license probably would have lapsed by now. Never officially entered the classroom. And I went into English back in the day because I needed something to do with my time. I needed to graduate in something, and everything else just didn't seem to fit me. I enjoyed writing. I enjoyed communicating. I did enjoy and still do enjoy teaching or, sharing my thoughts with others, but this wasn't an option. I could have gone into communications, but the paths were carved out for you back then, and maybe they still are today. I don't know. It's been a while. I'm far removed from the educational scene, but I didn't have an option to grow up and be a YouTuber. Didn't have that. Didn't know at all. I didn't know I was an entrepreneur. I'm not a business person. That would have bored me to death. I'm horrible when it comes to numbers. I know what works and I know how to pay the bills, but that's about as far as it goes. I'd like to see more internships or apprenticeships. I'll go one level deeper. More apprenticeships happening, and it takes years to learn these things, learn these skills, and you learn a lot by experience. And I think experience has been the greatest teacher in practice, certainly. And I think that has served me better than just having the degree in English education, which at this point, for all intents and purposes, really doesn't mean much to me.
What made you settle on vlogs as the current format for your channel? You've been doing it for nearly 700 days. Quite the accomplishment, I might add.
It's been the best long-form video content series I've ever done. Kicks the crap out of anything geek or anything tech. I mean, kicks the crap on an ongoing basis. And that means something to me. And I decided not too long ago to, when I basically set up the Patreon campaign for getting people to support more tech content directly, I set up a separate channel called Geek Lifestyles on YouTube, and that is going to be more of the traditional locker room content versus the vlog channel, which is more personal content. Chris Pirillo, even though I'm involved with both, and I'm also curious to know not just my experiences with vlogging, but curious to know how other people are taking the same experiences they're having as content creators on YouTube or beyond, and if what I'm saying really makes a lot of sense to them. And I'm also interested in people, who observe from the other perspective, of just observing, watching, right? And I'm very interested in knowing what they think as well, and I want to make sure I say that, because I'm always looking for providing some amount of insight for people. And I guess that's one of the reasons you wanted to do the interview with me.
You have quite the community, the Nomies. How important for you is it to not only build a brand with great content, but also have a community that's engaged with what you're doing?
I think it's been important for me to not just create compelling content, but build a community around it, or at least try to. And let me put a finer point on that. I'm a personal brand. I'm a personality, so it's more of a cult of personality than I think it is a community, because there are people who see the things that I do and they want to participate, and they want to respond, and they want to engage, and they know that I have, something. Je ne sais quoi. I do not speak French at all. I have a horrible French accent as an English person who lives in America and doesn't speak English very well. Je ne sais quoi. That's how I got off topic there for a second. There are people who love that about me. They love my stupid asides. They love my Monty Python or Weird Al Yankovic references. They love that about me. And I don't know if that means it's community, and I use that word because it's the best word I can pull out of the dictionary. This is what I guess to me is invaluable. Someone walks into a toy store, sees a stand of Darth Vader, gigantic Darth Vader figures. They take a picture of it and they think of me. They go see the Lego movie. And they say, Chris, I thought of you. That is invaluable. How is that just not a perfect scenario? These are the things I love, and they've associated the things I love with me, and they feel they're a part of it, or they've connected with me at that level, know me well enough to know that Chris likes that, or Chris would enjoy that. Having people who support you no matter what you do, I think it's very, very important to concentrate on that, or figure out how you're going to achieve that. Forget everybody else. Everybody else matters, potentially, but not concentrating on the people who support you most, I think it doesn't do you any favors.
Google Plus has had a pretty big impact on your brand. Actually, that's how I found you a couple of years ago. How have you sort of utilized Google Plus to grow your brand?
There are a lot of things happening on Google Plus. I love Google Plus. Check it every single day. A lot of really good stuff being shared, created, a lot of great people using it. So a lot of organic engagement, a lot of organic connections, and valuable stuff happening on Google Plus. It's just how it started that I think didn't do Google any favors at all. And they had to do it. They had to do it for the way they wanted to go and grow with Google and social. So I guess I've used it to grow my brand because there's a lot of geeks on Google Plus. There are probably more geeks than anybody else because they're the only people who seem to care about Google Plus if they're geeky at one level. A lot of other things happening, and that's not to say that it's the only audience on Google Plus, but Google Plus is what you make it, right? If you circle the right people that you want, you're going to see stuff that's going to be valuable for you. If you don't circle anybody or you don't circle the right people, Google Plus is going to be horrible, just like Facebook, just like Twitter, just like any other social network. It's how it was introduced that I think more people should have a problem with or would have a problem with rather than the inherent value of the network. So I've used it because, hey, it's another platform. Awesome. Here's my video. Now it's tied into my YouTube. Even better. I've got engagement going all the way back to the beginning of Google Plus. So I've used it because it's another great platform that was inevitably going to be integrated with YouTube. Made sense to me.
Your brand has steadily grown over the years. In what ways can a creator create a brand with lasting potential online?
Do your best to do what you love doing, finding others who love seeing you do the things in a content creator's perspective, see or experience the things that you're putting out there. And then figuring out the financial model around that to make sure that it's supportable for you, as well as for them vicariously, over a longer period of time. That's the formula. But what I do in creating a brand is I'm myself. I do my best to put out there things that I can be proud of, and do it in such a way that I know I'm doing my best. If I watch something or see something, that I know I did my best. Like, that's the best I could do. I just needed to do it. I did it, and that's what it is. That lasting potential is a challenge, especially when you have to learn how to dodge and weave. And this is another one of the reasons why I'm going to, as my business evolves, look for more stability beyond just doing content. Because I had for over a decade, or almost a decade, exactly a decade, ran a conference. Now started the Vlogger Fair event, not a conference. We sold out last year, did quite well. We did not lose money from last year's event, but we're going to be doing it again next year. So that's another part I'm hoping to have as a stable leg for the business. Also want to get into reselling geeky merchandise that have nothing to do with me as Chris Pirillo, but it's having multiple legs to stand on so that just doing content isn't the only thing, because you never know, if something's going to happen or something is going to change, and it forces you to reevaluate what you're doing, how you're doing it, and your ability to do it. I would do anything. I'd bend over backwards to make sure I could keep doing this, because as far as I'm concerned, the thing that I want out of life most of all is happiness. And I think keeping that happiness in the center of your brand, so that you're happy, your brand's happy, the person who experiences your brand is happy, I think that is going to add to the lasting potential of that brand to exist. But those three things have to be happy. And good luck if you're someone who wants to create the ability for us to fart rainbows. I'd back that if you have the ability to execute.
Well, there you have it, everybody. Chris Pirillo. If you enjoyed him, make sure to stop by his channel, let him know. And if you enjoy Behind the Reel, be sure to share this episode around. It's the best way to help the show grow. In the meantime, drop a comment below. Let me know your thoughts on this week's interview. Have a great weekend. I'm Andy Smith, and I'll see you next time on Behind the Reel.